Guys, I'm back with Kris Ruby, the CEO of Ruby Media Group, and we're talking about digital censorship and how it's driven by these things called, algorithms, but also machine learning, natural language processing, so-called NLP. Kris, let me summarize what I think you're saying, and that is that the content of what people see on these social media platforms is being manipulated. I guess it's somewhat similar to saying that, when you go to the grocery store, there are certain things that are put at eye level and you can easily see those. And there are other things that are sort of tucked away and you can go looking for them. And there might be a way to find them, but they're being suppressed. They're not being encouraged. Let's put it that way. And you're saying that in the grocery store, you know why they do that. They're trying to sell certain things. Maybe they think there's a bigger market, for this or for that. But here, it's driven not only governmentally, but I think you're also saying ideologically. It works in a manner that discriminates against conservatives. Is that a correct summary of what's going on? And if so, is exposure of this enough, or are there some steps that need to be taken? Can the House GOP do something? In other words, how do we stop this?
Yes, I would say that what you said is accurate. I would also say that 99% of takedowns on social media platforms are really starting with machine learning. That's what was so concerning here. If we look at the data that I shared, that data, by the way, is not data that anyone reported. Okay, so when we were 2,000 mules over and over again, no one is reporting a tweet that says 2,000 mules. This is an algorithm through natural language processing in the background. If you use a series of words, including 2,000 mules, it's automatically being flagged. And that's the scariest part of this, because I think people are looking at the wrong thing. They're looking at, someone reported this and now a human's going to look at it. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about a system that operates all the time, that is always running. And if you're not programming that language, and if you don't know how to speak that language or understand that language, then you can't even ask the right questions. That's what's happening at a congressional level right now. So anytime these people are put on the stand, they don't have the technical expertise to really question what's happening. We saw that with Jack as well. Did Jack lie or did he not lie? Because he talked about using labels, but he talked about, to your point, the labels on the front end. He's not mentioning the data labels on the back end. He's not mentioning that 2,000 mules is an NLP term. He's not mentioning that voter fraud is also an engram. And so there's this, to answer your question, what can be done? The discrepancy is getting larger and larger of this knowledge gap. And when I asked how many conservatives were on that team and data science making these decisions, and the answer was 0. So you need more people that are like, wait a second, I don't think 2,000 mules should really be an engram. But if you have no one, for all of this talk of diversity and inclusion, where is the political diversity and inclusion when it comes to algorithmic political bias? My opinion, it's just not there.
So you seem to be saying not merely that the social media platforms aren't accommodating political diversity, but that a lot of conservatives, including a lot of congressmen and their staffs, don't have the background knowledge to be able to put these guys. I mean, they're lawyers, and so they're good at what they do. But if you don't have the technical knowledge, I guess it's sort of like trying to examine a ballistics expert, and you don't know anything about ballistics. So as a result, you ask really dumb questions, and the ballistics guy talks circles around you because he knows what's going on and you don't. So what you're saying is the conservatives need to hit the books a little bit and master this, at least at a layman's level, so you can bring these guys in front of committees, ask them the right kinds of questions, because they're acting like the very mention of voter fraud is itself something that deserves to be A, flagged, and B, potentially suppressed.
Correct. And they also have these, and the way they get away with it is because they add it to their terms of service, and they under the header of civic and integrity, right? They add it and say, but they're only showing you what's on the front end. The key is what is in data science on the back end. And I feel like a lot of the reporting on this, the stories missed. They're looking at engineering. They're talking about quote unquote algorithms. They're not really talking about data science at all. That's where all of this is, right? Are we really fighting? I don't know what the purpose of the Twitter files is, but if the purpose was actually about truth, then this is where they'd be looking. That's what's frustrating. The truth is in the data. The truth would be in those machine learning documents that were used for content moderation. Google, many years ago, they have something called the Quality Rater Guidelines. Those that were leaked, and ever since they have to make them public. If Elon Musk is a man of his word, I don't understand why he won't do the same thing. There's a difference between quote unquote releasing an algorithm, which is something else, versus releasing the list of terms that are being used in natural language processing. For example, do you think that you have a right to know that 2,000 mules was used as an engram by Twitter as political misinformation? Should you have known that?
Absolutely. And by an engram, I take it that what you mean is it's a trigger word, right? In other words,
yes.
It's programmed in so that when people, even some guy with 10 followers, if he hashtags 2,000 mules or mentions it, he sets off the trigger,
yes.
and therefore he becomes a target for suppression or banning. I mean, this is really scary stuff, Ruby. And I think you're right that this, at the very least, it complements the human dimension, but in scale, it seems to be even more important than the human dimension by a huge factor. So you've done really
yes.
great work in exposing this, and please keep this work up. And would love to have you back to talk further as you make, as you surely will, more discoveries in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.